Story tonight is on the escalating Thailand-Cambodia tensions, with Thailand rejecting mediation, both sides blaming each other. Where are things headed, and what would further escalation mean? Also on the show for you, Delhi set to get its own Iron Dome, telling you all that you need to know. The International Monetary Fund lists India's UPI as the world's largest real-time payment system by transaction volume. All this and more coming up. Tensions along the Thailand-Cambodia border are reaching their highest level again as heavy fighting enters a third consecutive day. Both countries exchanged intense artillery fire and airstrikes, forcing a massive wave of civilian evacuations on both sides of the front line. Authorities now say more than 500,000 people have been driven from their homes, seeking shelter in makeshift camps, temporary schools, military-protected safe zones. The escalation already claimed at least 13 lives, including soldiers and civilians, and the number is expected to rise as reports continue to come in from multiple disputed border areas. Officials in both Thailand and Cambodia are accusing each other of restarting the conflict. But there is still no sign of either side backing down. In one of the most serious incidents reported today, the Thai military saying rockets fired from Cambodia landed just meters away from a hospital in Surin province. Medical staff and patients were rushed into an underground bunker as sirens blared. The hospital was temporarily evacuated. And now, with the region again on the brink, President Trump saying he will place a phone call to leaders in Bangkok and Cambodia to halt the renewed fighting. First, listen to what he said.
And I hate to say this, one named Cambodia, Thailand, that had started up today. Tomorrow I'll have to make a phone call, and I think they'll get us. Who else could say, I'm going to make a phone call and stop a war of two very powerful countries, Thailand and Cambodia? They're going at it again. But I'll do it. So we're making peace through strength. That's what we're doing.
The Thai Ministry of Foreign Affairs, meanwhile, said that Bangkok will not accept third-party mediation at this stage and wants Cambodia to restore its confidence. They also said that while diplomatic talks with Cambodia will eventually resume, the timing is not now. The Thai foreign minister added that threats of trade or tariff consequences should not be used to pressure Bangkok into negotiations. In his words, it is up to Cambodia to take the first step if it truly wants to de-escalate the situation.
We don't think tariffs should be used to pressure Thailand to get back to the joint declaration, to get back to a dialogue process. No. I think the situation regarding Thailand and Cambodia has to be resolved on the basis of its own dynamics.
However, Cambodia is issuing a very different message. Its defense officials saying Thai forces were the ones who breached the border first, and that Cambodian troops are responding in self-defense. And they argue that any return to negotiations will only happen if Thailand agrees to recognize and respect previously negotiated boundaries. Now, these confrontations are now the deadliest since the month of July, when 5 days of fiercely intense fighting resulted in multiple casualties and widespread damage. After days of the stalemate back then, Washington stepped in, with Donald Trump claiming that he personally brokered a ceasefire after warning that tariff negotiations with both countries could be suspended if violence continued. Thailand and Cambodia have contested over sovereignty for more than a century. Fighting went on over ownership claims of historical sites, raised nationalist tension, notably in 2003 when rioters torched the Thai embassy and Thai businesses over an alleged remark by a Thai celebrity questioning jurisdiction over Cambodia's World Heritage listed temple. In fact, listen in.
A lot of things in mainland Southeast Asia. Ultimately, we can blame France. This boils down to a disagreement over where the land border between Cambodia and Thailand is supposed to lie, particularly around some culturally sensitive temples and religious sites. And at base is a map that the French authorities in Indochina basically foisted upon the kingdom of Siam more than 100 years ago, and the Thais have always had objections to.
And for now, both nations insisting that they are defending their territory. Both blame each other for the new wave of violence. Both say that they are prepared for further military action if necessary. US President Donald Trump has given the Ukrainian president a hard deadline. Accept Washington's peace proposal with Russia by Christmas or brace for what Trump calls the inevitable. And the message reportedly reached Kiev through Trump's envoys, Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff. They reportedly held a 2-hour phone call with Zelensky after meeting the Russian president in Moscow. The ultimatum appears to be tied to what Trump describes as Ukraine's weakening position. In a recent interview, Trump said Russia enjoys a decisive advantage in the war. The US president has said that Moscow's size and military strength ultimately tipped the balance. In the interview, Trump also claimed, in fact, he also repeated his claim that Kiev is using the war to delay elections. Zelensky responded by insisting that Ukraine's political future is for the Ukrainians to decide. But he also said he is willing to move towards fresh elections in the next 30 to 60 days, provided the US and other allies of Ukraine can ensure a secure voting process in the war-torn country. The Ukrainian president also said that he has asked the lawmakers to study potential amendments to laws that currently block voting during wartime. His 5-year term expired last May. And though the Constitution prevents elections under martial law, Zelensky added that he will send Washington updated proposals for ending the war within a day, as pressure from the US continues to mount. Trump is urging Kiev to accept a draft settlement Washington, in fact, designed, and a draft that several of Ukraine's allies criticized as leaning too far towards Russia. The plan calls for Ukraine to relinquish the Donbas region in exchange for security assurances that fall short of NATO membership, Ukraine's long-standing objective. In fact, during a televised event, the Russian leader referred to Donbas as historically Russian territory, reinforcing Moscow's stance. And just last week said that Ukrainian troops must withdraw from Ukraine's eastern Donbas region or Russia would take full control of Ukraine's Donbas region by force. Russia's foreign minister, meanwhile, publicly praised Trump for his role in the latest peace efforts. Addressing Russia's upper house of parliament, Lavrov said Trump stands out as the only Western leader who, in his view, understands the roots of the conflict.
The only Western leader who cares about human rights in this situation is also Donald Trump, because the proposals that, I hope I'm not revealing a big secret, the ones that Stephen Witkoff brought, which were discussed in detail with the president of the Russian Federation, specifically mention the need to ensure in Ukraine, or what remains of Ukraine, the rights of national minorities and religious freedoms in accordance with international obligations.
A tremor in Washington and Europe feels the quake. A single bill, a single signature could shatter the world's biggest military alliance. Now, all that is set to change if President Trump decides to walk the talk. The question hanging heavy in the air is, will Trump sign the bill to withdraw the US from the NATO?
Cars of power roll past Capitol Hill, but inside, tension is peaking. A new bill calling for the complete withdrawal of the United States from NATO. The opening shot is sharp. European capitals from Berlin to Warsaw buzz with fear. Leaders whisper about contingency plans. Diplomats scramble behind closed doors, because if Washington steps back, the world's most powerful military alliance could be left wobbling on one leg. Republican Thomas Massie introduced a bill, H.R. 6508, the NATO Act, where he calls it not a Trusted Organization Act. Massie calls NATO as a Cold War relic and asserts that Pentagon should use the money to defend the homeland and not socialist countries. Trump has long echoed that sentiment. He wants Europe to pay more, rearm faster, and stop depending on American security subsidies. His message has been blunt. Buy American weapons, spend more on defense, prove your worth. Trump has also halted military aid to Ukraine. Instead, he wants Europe to buy it from US.
Billions of dollars worth of military equipment is going to be purchased from the United States, going to NATO, etc. And that's going to be quickly distributed to the battlefield.
And now Europe is staring at the nightmare. It never wanted the possibility that the US might walk away. Months earlier, warnings were already flashing. US had cautioned NATO allies in June.
But our message is going to continue to be clear. It's deterrence and peace through strength, but it can't be reliance. It cannot and will not be reliance on America.
For decades, the continent relied on Article 5, the sacred promise that an attack on one is an attack on all. Without the US, that guarantee loses its firepower. The fear in major European capitals is not just losing a partner, but losing the massive military apparatus that projects peace across the continent. The threat of withdrawal pushes Europe toward a frantic scramble for rearmament and self-sufficiency, forcing an unprecedented restructuring of its military framework. The looming political storm in Washington remains the single greatest unquantifiable variable holding the fate of the post-war world order in the balance.
And we're shifting focus now. The Delhi High Court has come down heavily on the Indian government and Indigo Airlines after thousands of flights were cancelled, causing that mayhem across the country, which led daily aviation into a nationwide horror story. In fact, the court has directed Indigo to compensate the affected travellers and has questioned how airfares were allowed to shoot up to as high as 40,000 rupees. The Delhi High Court questioned the Indian government and the aviation watchdog DGCA to explain why the Indigo crisis was allowed to escalate. The court sought clarity on the oversight mechanisms in place and why timely intervention did not happen before thousands of passengers were impacted. Indigo has maintained that it is working to restore operational normalcy. However, the High Court observed that there were clear signs of strain in the airline's operations well before the crisis erupted, including staffing and scheduling stress. Meanwhile, DGCA has initiated its strictest oversight action in years. Senior DGCA officials have been ordered to be stationed at Indigo's headquarters to conduct a detailed audit of the airline's fleet, network, pilot availability, and utilization. And in a parallel move, the DGCA has summoned the Indigo CEO again and directed him to submit a full status report on Thursday. Indigo, in its statement, has reiterated its commitment to restoring operational normalcy. However, the trouble for the airline continues to grow. The Competition Commission of India is reportedly examining whether Indigo holds a 65% market share, may have misused its dominant position amid the cancellation wave. And if the preliminary assessment reveals any irregularities, a full-scale investigation could follow. This is not the first time, though, Indigo has faced CCI scrutiny. Earlier cases relating to passenger treatment and alleged predatory hiring were dismissed in 2015 and 2016. And as of now, the focus remains on ensuring that passengers receive compensation, the airfare caps are implemented, and that Indigo's operations return to stability, while the regulators continue their multi-layered examination of the crisis. Delhi may soon receive a powerful new shield in the sky. India is reportedly preparing to deploy its homegrown version of an Iron Dome-style air defense system designed to guard the national capital region from missiles, drones, fast-moving hostile aircraft, and further bolster the defensive ring over the national capital region. In fact, the Defense Ministry has reportedly started to process the integrated air defense weapons system centered entirely on indigenous technologies. This multi-layered system will reportedly rely on quick reaction, surface-to-air missiles, very short-range air defense systems, and a network of sensors, launchers, command units built to track and destroy incoming threats within seconds. The new plan reportedly replaces an earlier proposal to buy America's version of an advanced surface-to-air missile system, the same technology that reportedly protects America's capital. Talks reportedly started with the US on this issue, but the government stepped back after the quoted price was reportedly deemed too high. The Indian Air Force will reportedly operate the system, while the DRDO and domestic production agencies will integrate the command and control network. DRDO, remember, has successfully developed multi-air defense systems, including the medium-range surface-to-air missile. It is also developing a long-range interceptor. Alongside this indigenous effort, India continues to strengthen its long-range capabilities across the country. The Air Force is awaiting 2 remaining S-400 squadrons from Russia, and New Delhi is reportedly evaluating additional S-400 units together. These upgrades basically aim to bolster the layered air shield over Delhi, powered largely by Indian innovation and designed to neutralize threats long before they actually reach the capital. India's Unified Payments Interface, the UPI, gets global recognition. The International Monetary Fund listing India's UPI as the world's largest real-time payment system by transaction volume. India's UPI volume has been hitting new milestones through this year, in fact. In the Growing Retail Digital Payments June report, the IMF recognized India's UPI as the top in the world. And that was highlighted by Pankaj Chaudhary, Minister of State for Finance, in a written response to a question in the Parliament. India has periodically launched several measures to assist small-scale businesses in embracing digital payment systems, including the UPI. And the minister said, until October, about 5.45 crore digital touch points have been launched to Tier 3 to Tier 6 centers across the country. According to the Prime Time for Real-Time 2024 research by ACI Worldwide, UPI has the highest transaction volume of any global real-time payment system. India has a 49% share of global real-time payment platform, with transactions totaling 129.3 billion. Second place going to Brazil with 14% market share, 37.4 billion in transactions. Thailand in the third spot with 8% market share, 20.4 billion transactions. With a 6% market share and 17.2 billion transactions, China coming at number 4. South Korea, with a 3% share, took the 5th spot. Other countries, meanwhile, making up for the remaining 20%. Also on the show for you tonight, a proud moment, a huge milestone. Diwali, the festival of lights, enters the world's cultural heritage registry. Getting you the complete story in just a bit. Has Chandrayaan-3 found electricity on the moon? Wait till you hear all about this. What exactly is the swag gap? Getting you up to speed with the latest label in the world of relationships. All this and more coming up. Amid the ongoing tensions between China and Japan, fresh audio recording of naval radio exchanges released by the Chinese state media, leaving more questions behind than answers. In a week marked by tense military encounters, according to the recording reportedly, Beijing claims it informed Tokyo in advance about carrier-led drills. That triggered the mid-air standoff between the two sides, between the Chinese and Japanese fighter jets earlier this week. We've been telling you about this. But Japan's defense minister has disputed that claim, saying China's message lacked essential details about the scope and the location of the exercise. Tokyo also saying Beijing failed to issue standard alerts meant to warn aircraft and vessels. The incident in question occurred earlier this week, where Japan alleged that Chinese J-15 jets activated fire control radar on Japanese F-15s flying in international airspace near Okinawa. A fire control radar basically is used to direct weapons towards a target. China has denied any wrongdoing, saying that carrier-based planes routinely switch on search radars during training flights to maintain safety. And this issue has grown even more tense as Japan scrambled fighter jets after spotting a joint Russian-Chinese air patrol over the Sea of Japan. Tokyo saying the operation poses a direct threat to its security and signals a coordinated display of strength aimed at Japan. The Japanese Defense Ministry, meanwhile, claiming that two Russian strategic bombers flew from the Sea of Japan into the East China Sea, where Chinese J-16 fighters later joined them. A lot happening, clearly. And images released by Japan's joint staff showing the Russian bombers and Chinese jets flying between Okinawa and Miyako Islands, an international waterway, but one of Japan's most sensitive zones. Japanese officials say 4 Chinese J-16 fighters linked up with the Russian aircraft after passing between Western Japan and South Korea. Just to break this down further, at the same time, Japan detected additional Russian activity in the Sea of Japan, including an early warning aircraft and 2 Su-30 fighters. Tokyo saying its air units responded immediately and enforced air defense procedures. South Korea also reported that 9 foreign military aircraft, 7 Russian and 2 Chinese, entered its air defense identification zone. Moscow and Beijing say these were routine flights and said the joint patrol near Japan lasted 8 hours. But these encounters coming against the backdrop of the rising political friction. Tension spiked after the Japanese Prime Minister, remember, told the parliament last month that a crisis in the Taiwan Strait could justify Japanese military involvement. Beijing condemned that statement as a breach of its red lines. China considers Taiwan part of its territory, remember, and has not ruled out using force to unify it with the mainland. And amid the heightened tensions with Venezuela, the United States is doubling down on its military presence in the Caribbean Sea, raising the specter of a wider conflict in the region. The visuals on your screen are from a port in Puerto Rico. U.S. troops can be seen unloading trucks, armored vehicles, and heavy equipment from the military ships. And these are followed by US Marines disembarking in large numbers. The deployment is part of the ongoing US military positioning in the Caribbean Sea. Take a look. Just for context, this comes just a day after US President Donald Trump refused to rule out an American ground invasion in Venezuela. In an exclusive conversation with Politico, Trump did not explicitly deny plans to invade the country reportedly, and he warned that Maduro's days are numbered. And Trump also widened the scope of the so-called war on drugs. During the interview, the American leader was asked if he would carry out similar boat strikes against Mexico and Colombia, to which Trump reportedly replied, "Sure, I would," quote unquote. And these developments also follow America's months-long military campaign against alleged drug boats. Trump has lashed out at Venezuela and Colombia in the past, of course, for smuggling illegal drugs, as he alleges, and narcotics into the U.S. So far, the U.S. has carried out at least 22 military strikes against alleged drug boats, in which around 87 people have been killed.
Second one. I would like to do it almost immediately, and we'll have a quick second meeting.
President Trump used a campaign-style rally in Pennsylvania to reassure the Americans that the U.S. economy is on solid ground. However, he mocked affordability concerns. Trump argued that tariffs, investment inflows, and stock market gains are proof that America is affordable again. Here's what he said.
And I have no higher priority than making America affordable again. That's what we're going to do. And again, they caused the high prices and we're bringing them down. It's a simple message. They gave you the highest inflation in history, and we're bringing those prices down rapidly. Lower prices, bigger paychecks. You're getting lower prices, bigger paychecks. We're getting inflation. We're crushing it. And you're getting much higher wages. I mean, the only thing that's really going up big, it's called the stock market and your 401ks.
But government data painting a more nuanced picture. Job growth has slowed in this second term. Unemployment at a 4-year high. Inflation has climbed back to 3%, higher than at any point in his first term. While gas and egg prices have eased from the recent peaks, overall prices are still up 25% over 5 years, leaving many households struggling with the day-to-day costs. Multiple polls showing Americans deeply concerned about affordability. Trump's approval rating on the cost of living has slumped to 31%, with half of the voters saying prices are the worst they have seen in their lives. Consumer confidence has dropped to its lowest level since spring. Economic indicators remain uneven. The economy is expected to grow 1.9% this year, slower than last year's 2.8%. Some sectors like construction have taken a hit from Trump's tariffs. Food inflation, uneven. Beef prices up nearly 15%. Bananas, for example, up 7%. Coffee, up more than 20%, just to give you a better sense of where things stand. And despite Trump's claims that scarcity is turning to prosperity, many Americans say their wages have not kept pace with the costs. And the president is now planning more rallies across the U.S., betting that a stronger message on affordability can resonate before the 2026 midterms. A proud moment, Diwali, the festival of lights, enters the world's cultural heritage registry. One of the most celebrated festivals, now traveling beyond borders. What was once a national festival, now carrying universal significance. UNESCO has added Diwali to its intangible cultural heritage list, recognizing it as a cultural treasure that must be preserved and celebrated worldwide. The announcement has been made by UNESCO on social media, calling it a new addition to the list of living heritage. The UNESCO listing highlights the cultural importance of the festival, of course, and ensures that The festival, celebrated for generations and promoted on an international scale, celebrated the world over. This marks one of the most significant global acknowledgements of India's cultural traditions in recent times. In fact, with the landmark recognition, Diwali becoming the 16th Indian tradition to earn the honor, joining the ranks of Yoga and Durga Puja, Prime Minister Modi reacted with joy. He said people in India and around the world are thrilled. In his tweet, he described Diwali as a festival deeply connected to India's culture, values, and civilization. The inscription of Diwali on UNESCO's heritage list coming as part of a significant global review underway in New Delhi, where the 20th session of the Intergovernmental Committee for Safeguarding of Intangible Cultural Heritage is being held from December 8 to 13 at the historic Red Fort. And this marks the first time India has hosted the prestigious UNESCO panel. Diwali's significance centers on Lord Ram's triumphant return to Ayodhya after 14 years of exile and defeating the demon king Ravan, symbolizing the victory of good over evil and light over darkness. Tuning into the heartbeat of Haiti. It's a Haitian dance music genre that blends African and Caribbean influences. UNESCO is set to add Haiti's compa to its cultural heritage list. Take a look. The famous Tirumala temple in Andhra Pradesh embroiled in yet another controversy reportedly months after the Laddu scandal. The Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanams uncovered another major procurement scandal amounting to almost 55 crore rupees reportedly, involving ceremonial silk scarf offered to devotees during the visit to the holy shrine on special occasions. According to the temple board, a supplier allegedly defrauded the temple trust for nearly a decade by delivering polyester scarves while billing them as pure mulberry silk, resulting in losses that ran into several crores. The case has now been formally handed over to the Andhra Pradesh Anti-Corruption Bureau for a full investigation. The alleged fraud surfaced after the TTD chairman ordered the Vigilance and Security Wing to inspect whether the scarves being supplied match the original tender specifications. And these norms clearly state that each scarf must be made of 100% pure mulberry silk. However, the vigilance team found that the scarves delivered to the temple body were not silk at all. All the scarves were supplied by a single firm, which has been supplying different categories of cloth to the temple trust for years. Samples were collected from the TTD warehouse in Tirupati, where most ceremonial items are stored, and sent to 2 labs for fabric testing. Both the labs confirmed the same result. The scarves were 100% polyester. Officials also found that the mandatory silk hologram tag was missing from all pieces. The company and its sister companies allegedly supplied cloth worth nearly 54.95 crore rupees to TTD between 2015 and 2025. During this period, the firm reportedly also received a contract to supply another 15,000 dupattas at a cost of 1,389 rupees per piece that vigilance officers now believe may also be polyester. And based on these findings, the TTD board passed a resolution requesting the ACB director to initiate criminal action against everyone involved. Australia has drawn a hard line in the digital sand. A world-first ban that has forced millions of children off social media overnight. From Facebook to TikTok, Instagram to Snapchat, the rule is simple. If you are under 16, you are out. Platforms are now purging accounts, blocking new ones, or facing hefty penalties that run into tens of millions. But as the clock struck midnight, the reality of the ban started to unfold. Teenagers across Australia woke up to deactivated accounts, failed logins, very different summer holiday ahead. Australia's Sydney Harbour Bridge has been lit up with this message: let them be kids. To mark the launch of this ban, that's the messaging there. In fact, some say the move will change nothing, that they will find new doors, new tricks, new ways back into that world that they, in a way, grew up in. Others are watching their friends slip through the system while they are shut out, worried that they will be cut off from their own social circles.
I kind of see where they're coming from, but also I think if you can get a job at 14, if you can take care of someone's kid, like do babysitting and stuff, I think you should be able to have social media and have the government trust you on it.
It's just kind of pointless. It's just we're just gonna create new ways to get on these platforms. So what's the point, you know?
And then there are the parents, of course. A nation divided, some relieved, some angry, some now teaching their children how to evade the very laws meant to govern them. For every family that sees this as a lifeline, there is another grappling with anxiety, isolation, and perhaps a teen who just lost their digital community. Those are the mixed reactions. Meanwhile, regulators are demanding answers. They want to know how many accounts have been removed, how many companies plan to stop workarounds, and whether the system is already being abused. They warn that this is only the beginning, that non-compliant platforms could be dragged into court. And in the coming months, experts will track just about everything from how children sleep to whether they pick up hobbies to whether they slip into darker corners of the internet.
The better arguments for trialing that out, from my perspective, is that this, as someone who's been working in industry for a while, is the first real test of the earnestness of social media companies to develop tools that genuinely protect the safety and well-being of young people.
The world is watching. Countries across Europe and Asia reportedly now studying this Australian experiment, wondering if they should also pull the plug on under-16 social media access. And if this works, Australia could end up rewriting the global playbook on digital child safety, to say the least. If it backfires, the consequences could be far more complex and far-reaching. Shifting focus, the moon has spoken again, it seems, and this time it's crackling with electricity. A new Chandrayaan-3 revelation shaking the global space community to its core. India's moon mission delivering proof that our quiet lunar neighbor is far more alive than we ever imagined.
The lunar surface was meant to be static, silent, and geologically dead. Science textbooks universally demanded it. India's Chandrayaan-3 mission's latest finding has just ripped those textbooks apart. Analysis of data collected by the Vikram lander reveals a surprise. The lunar surface is alive with plasma activity, a swirling electrical environment unlike anything ever recorded earlier. Its sensors picked up streams of charged particles dancing across the surface at Shiv Shakti point, generating dynamic spikes of electrical potential. In simple terms, the moon sparks. Analyzing the data, ISRO scientists said that the moon's thin plasma environment is active despite being electrically neutral. Overall, the plasma is highly conductive and responds strongly to electromagnetic fields. A charged lunar environment could help future missions harvest energy, but it could also pose hazards for astronauts and long-term lunar bases. India's Chandrayaan-3 mission made history on 23rd August 2023 by landing on the moon's south polar region. India became only the fourth country to achieve a soft landing on the lunar surface and the first to reach the moon's south pole. India is now readying the Chandrayaan-4 mission, which is scheduled for launch in 2027. This mission aims to collect samples from the lunar surface and bring them back to Earth for scientific analysis. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Europe launching its first ever planetary defense drill as the interstellar visitor 3I Atlas barrels through the solar system, a cosmic stranger triggering a global wake-up call and humanity rehearsing for the ultimate what-if scenario.
It glows faintly against the black, a blur of ice, dust and mystery hurtling through deep space. Astronomers call it 3I Atlas, only the third known interstellar object ever detected. And it's just brushed inside our cosmic neighborhood, a visitor from outside solar system. The interstellar comet, currently 273 million kilometers from Earth. The comet will make its closest approach to Earth on December 19, 2025, when it will be approximately 269 million kilometers away. The alarm bells are ringing loud. Europe has announced the launch of largest planetary defense exercise ever conducted. The drill, hailed as a continental wake-up call, brings together defense ministries, space agencies, military radar units, and emergency responders across 27 nations. Together, they will simulate a coordinated response against a hypothetical object with the mass and speed of 3I Atlas. A scenario that would unleash energy measured in multiple nuclear warheads. Across Europe, the message is clear. Humanity can't wait for impact to prepare. And yet, amid the tense atmosphere, scientists are quick to clarify one thing. The real 3I Atlas poses no threat. It will pass harmlessly through the outer solar system. Its path is distant, stable, and nowhere near our blue planet. But its arrival has sent a message Earth cannot ignore. Space is vast, unpredictable, and indifferent. The question is not if the next threat comes, but whether humanity will be ready.
Venezuela's opposition leader in hiding did not attend the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony to accept the top honor. Instead, her daughter accepted it on her behalf. In fact, just a short while back, her daughter spoke of Venezuela's fight for democracy as she accepted the honor. Machado was named for the Nobel Peace Prize on October 10, remember, for her efforts to bring democracy to Venezuela.
But although she has not been able to be here and take part in this ceremony, I must say that my mother never breaks a promise. And that is why, with all the joy in my heart, I can tell you that in just a few hours, we will be able to embrace her here in Oslo after 16 months living in heaven.
And shortly before the ceremony started, Machado said in an audio recording of a phone call that many people had risked their lives for her to arrive in Oslo. Machado added that she was very sad and very sorry for not being able to make it in time to the Nobel ceremony. Earlier, the Nobel Institute said in a statement that she is safe and is expected to arrive in Oslo by Thursday at the latest. Prominent Latin American figures attended the ceremony in Oslo in solidarity with Machado, including the Argentine president. Several members of her family, including her mother, attended that ceremony. She went into hiding in her home country in August 2024 and since then has been seen only once in public on January 9 in Caracas, where she protested against Nicolas Maduro's inauguration for his third term. She was banned from standing in the election and has accused Maduro of stealing it. Venezuela's Machado, who lives in hiding, is not the first Nobel Peace Prize laureate who could not pick up the prize. In 2023, the Iranian activist had to celebrate her Nobel Prize from a cell in a Tehran prison. The Belarusian human rights campaigner was in jail in 2022, represented by his wife at the ceremony. A Chinese dissident was in prison, serving an 11-year jail term for subversion, and his chair remained symbolically empty where the prize was placed. Myanmar's democracy champion Aung San Suu Kyi was under house arrest as part of a military crackdown. The Polish trade union activist Lech Wałęsa's wife, Danuta, and his son represented him at the Nobel ceremony. And on Tuesday, scores of demonstrators in Oslo also took to the streets. While Machado has been hailed by many for her efforts to bring democracy to Venezuela, she has also been criticized by others for aligning herself with US President Donald Trump, to whom she has dedicated her Nobel Prize. The Oslo ceremony coincided with a large US military buildup in the Caribbean in recent weeks and the deadly strikes on what Washington says are drug smuggling boats. Our next story is about mosquitoes, specifically a mosquito species. This story starts in London and ends in Egypt. Let's break it down for you. Have you heard of the London underground mosquito? Well, they are believed to have evolved in that tube system. And now research has found that they actually have ancient Egyptian roots. The mosquito thrives in the London tube system, basically. But as it turns out, the story started in Egypt thousands of years ago. Research has found that the true origins of the mosquito lie elsewhere. According to a study published in the journal Science, the mosquito did not evolve in London. Instead, its roots can be traced to a more exotic source, the irrigation channels of ancient Egypt. The international team led by Princeton University worked with 150 research groups worldwide. The genetic analysis basically revealing that the adaptation goes way back in time and that it probably emerged alongside early agriculture. But what are the implications here? What does this mean for us? The two forms of the insect can interbreed, resulting in hybrids. Such hybrids may have contributed towards the spread of the West Nile virus to human beings, and future research will help us understand and tell us more about this crossbreeding, for example, and the links with the spillover of viruses from animals to human beings. Gen Z not holding back when it comes to spotting relationship faux pas, especially when it comes to style. What some might call a minor fashion misstep is being dubbed as a full-blown crisis online. The latest trend, it seems, is the swag gap. It is when one person in a relationship or friendship or equation has noticeably more style, confidence, or the coolness quotient as compared to the other, creating a kind of aesthetic imbalance in a way. Online, this often shows up as mismatched outfits in public, but it can also reflect deeper dynamics like self-esteem differences or varying levels of ambition. And like most things on the internet, it all started out with a meme poking fun at women in heels and men in Crocs. In the year 2023, Hailey Bieber stepped out for an event in a stunning red strapless dress, heels, a matching purse. Standing beside her, Justin Bieber opted for a grey hoodie, shorts, a pink cap, topped off with white socks and yellow Crocs. And this led to the internet outrage and all that buzz. More recently, newlyweds Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco found themselves caught in this spotlight in a similar fashion. And on a show, Gomez opted for a chic look in a black dress and heels, while Benny Blanco went casual with ripped jeans and an unbuttoned shirt. And for Gen Z, the swag gap is not just about this kind of outfit difference. It can also signal an imbalance in self-expression. Netizens saying if people want optimal swag as a couple, both partners should be on the same page. So whether it's Crocs or even ripped jeans, one thing is clear: style might just be the ultimate relationship litmus test for some. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas tonight. This is me, Molly Kampir, signing off. Thanks for watching.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening.